Hi, Techno Evangelist here, and I am pretty excited about the brand new RAVPower FileHub, and I want to show it to you. If you've been with me for a while, you might think I've already done this video. Well, you're almost correct. I did a video 3 months ago about the RAVPower FileHub Plus WD03, which is the most popular video I've made on this channel. However, this video is focusing on an update, the Model RP WD07. It's got a couple of improvements that may seem small, but they take this $50 gadget to a whole new level. Now, if you like videos like this, consider hitting that subscribe button below. And if you have any experience with the device, share them with me in the comments section. Probably the biggest change is the support for a 5 GHz Wi-Fi connection. But let's go through all the ports first to get a better idea of what's here. Starting here, we have a USB-A port, which can be used for data transfer and for using the FileHub as an external battery. Next is the USB-C port. Basically, this is the charging port, though it claims data transfer works through it too. And while it would be amazing, I don't see how that could be true. Next to that is a standard RJ45 Ethernet port. Turn the device around, and we have the button to change the Wi-Fi settings, the SD card slot, and a button to do automatic copying. Flip to the other side, and you got a power button. And on the top, you got the display. We have indicators for power, SD card activity, 5 GHz Wi-Fi, 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi, and then internet. Let's start with what is probably the most important aspect of a device like this, data transfer. The two main types of data transfer you'll probably experience is from an SD card to an external hard drive like this SSD, and from either of those sources over Wi-Fi to a laptop, tablet, or phone. To test data transfer speeds, I created some test files using Makefile. Makefile is basically a simpler version of DD that exists on the Mac. You can find the command I used at tvl.st/fishfilecreate. I ended up creating 11 1 GB files, 11 500 MB files, and 100 3 MB files, and then timed how long they took to transfer. The transfer of all these files from the Mac's SSD to the SD card took about 16 minutes. Next, I put the SD card in the newer FileHub and attached an external SSD. To copy files from the card to the drive on the newer FileHub took 26 minutes. Then I did the same thing on the old device, and that took 32.5 minutes. Converting that over, I see that it performed at 98 megabits per second versus 80 megabits per second, or if you prefer, 12 megabytes per second versus 10 megabytes per second. Then I wanted to see what it was like to transfer a file from the drive to my iPad. I connected it to the newer FileHub via the 5 GHz Wi-Fi and copied one of the 1 GB files. It took 87 seconds on the newer FileHub, which is about the same speed as the SD to SSD took. But doing that Wi-Fi copy on the older FileHub took 230 seconds. So instead of 98 megabits per second, it was closer to 37 megabits per second. Finally, I wanted to share a file from the iPad to the iPhone over Wi-Fi. I used Total Downloader to transfer the 1080p 60 frames per second MP4 file of the Blender movie Big Buck Bunny. That's 356 megabytes. The newer device that supports 5 GHz did the transfer in 52 seconds, and the older device took 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So what does all this really mean? Well, if you have an older RAVPower FileHub Plus and you just want to transfer files from an SD card to an external SSD, then it's a 20% improvement. Is that good enough to pay for the upgrade? Well, I think so, only because the device is so ridiculously cheap. If it costs $200, then maybe it's a harder decision. But if you're transferring files from card or drive to something on Wi-Fi, or care mostly about the Wi-Fi access point, then stop the video now, scroll down to the link below, and buy the device right away. The speed improvements there are incredible. Now, if you watched my video on the earlier version, then you'll remember me mentioning that using it as a travel router to bridge the hotel Wi-Fi can be problematic. The way to solve this most of the time is to first try connecting on your phone or laptop. The hotel Wi-Fi will connect to a page for you to enter your check-in details. Record the IP address and URL for that page, as well as the gateway your phone is connecting to. Then connect your FileHub and connect the phone to the FileHub. From your phone, go to the URL you wrote down. If that doesn't work, navigate to the gateway on your phone's browser. You should get the form using one of those two methods. If both of those don't work, well, then you're just going to have to pay up for Wi-Fi or stay at a cheaper hotel that gives away Wi-Fi. Why is it that cheaper hotels give away Wi-Fi and more expensive hotels don't? I don't know. Now, I skipped over the button to do a fast copy of files from the SD card to the external hard drive. Because, well, I think that's a stupid feature, and I don't really trust it on a device like this. I don't seem to have control over how the copy functions. That said, I am really looking forward to getting the exact same feature on the NARBox 2 coming really soon. Of course, the NARBox is an order of magnitude more expensive. I also skipped over the display. There are 5 icons. They generally do a good job, but the battery indicator is much more difficult to interpret. Before, there were 4 dots that showed how much power is left. More dots, more power. Now there's a single icon. Depending on how much power is there, it will be solid or flashing white or red. And that's kind of annoying. Sure, it has a power input of 2 amps versus 1, so it will charge twice as fast, but still pretty annoying. So is the newer FileHub a total win? Kinda. The UI is just as painful as it was before. There is a newer app, and it's also just as confusing. There are still different features available in the new app versus the web app. I was excited to see that the new FileHub has a USB-C port, and the docs indicate that the USB-C port can do data transfer, but it doesn't deliver power over that USB-C port. So if you have a drive that powers itself over USB-C, it won't work. And this is disappointing because the FileHub is the only device I own that still uses the older USB port. It's also disappointing that the battery on the new device is 13% smaller than the old one, and the newer one is 30% heavier at 195 grams or about 7 ounces. But if you only care about the battery, don't buy this because there are lighter batteries with more juice available. So for me, I think the Wi-Fi features are what wins me over. I originally purchased the older device to back up files from my GH5's SD cards while on vacation without a laptop. But I find that I use its capabilities as a Wi-Fi access point far more, and this newer version is much more capable there. I am excited about this device. I am glad I have it. I think you should get one too. But, and this is a big but, if you are not very technical, and you expect your electronics to behave well and make sense, you should not get this. It is still super frustrating. It is still annoying. According to some comments on Amazon, support is still generally bad. But for $50, if it breaks, shipping to China is going to be far more expensive and time-consuming than just buying a new one. You have to be fine with that going in. And if you are, it is amazing. If you made it this far, you must have enjoyed this video. And if you did, hit that like button below. And while you're at it, click on subscribe. And as long as you've gone that far, tell a friend about this video. I have just over 100 subscribers and would love to see that number double to 200. Telling just one friend will help get me there. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.